So, what I'd like to begin today is just a little Q&A. It's been a while since I did that. So first of all, in terms of the meditation, and people online, if you have any questions, just chat them in through the chat function. Are there any questions about the meditation, the practice, how to bring it in your daily life? Any obstacles, challenges come up in meditation? Please, this is the time. Yes, just wait. Just wait. Yeah, so people online can hear the question. Yeah, back there.
I'm Fred Eppsteiner, and I had two questions about technique for meditation.
Yes.
When I originally learned, I was taught to, I don't know the term, make a rectangle with the hands. And
what?
To make sort of a rectangle with the hands.
Yeah.
And to keep the eyes open, focused a few inches ahead on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen other places, then there's other techniques where the eyes are closed the entire time and the hands are in a different position. Within FCM, do you have a preference for?
I don't know if we have a preference, because we try to be very open and know lots of people practice in different ways. I mean, the most important thing is it's a practice of the mind, so that's most important. But traditionally, in the Buddhist tradition, taking the lotus posture, sitting down, having the hands like this, in the lap, eyes. Again, I recommend eyes open and down, either down, or in some traditions they look straight ahead. Why is that? Because usually when we close our eyes because we are what? Going to sleep, or we're daydreaming. So again, that's because of our habituation. Often to keep our eyes open is helpful to nurturing an awakened state. It doesn't mean that if you close your eyes and you can still stay fully focused and present, right? That's fine too. But I think it's a help to keep the eyes open. And the other thing is, since our practice is an engaged practice, right? We want to take it in daily life, so we don't walk around the world with our eyes closed. It could be kind of dangerous. So, to learn to be mindful and present with our eyes open, I think also makes a transition into taking it in life. And again, usually I think most people in here either sit with their lap or rest them on their knees, which some traditions do. They rest them on their knees. It's really whatever is comfortable. The important thing is that, the back be straight, the head and neck be straight, the shoulders be relaxed, and that the posture feels stable. It should be a posture that we can hold without great discomfort. Since we're not used to sitting like this, maybe there could be some discomfort. Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, we can tolerate that, and it's just good practice. There are pleasant sensations in life and unpleasant, and so learning to be, just present and aware or whatever, that's fine. But we don't want to be causing pain. I distinguish between unpleasant sensations and painful sensations. So you want to be able to take a posture that you can hold with some stability. If you find you have to be moving every 5 minutes, not a good posture. Or if it's a posture where you're going, you're just going to bear and grin it, that's probably not good either, because your attention is getting lost in that. But it should be stable. Good. Any other questions about meditative practice? Yes. The gentleman over on the left.
Good morning. My question for you, Fred, pairs perfectly with the meditation. When I started coming a couple years ago, one of the first things that I was introduced to was, hey, when you start to have some sort of formal meditation, start by just stopping and syncing up the mind and the body. And then maybe after a third of that meditation session, maybe then from there it's a little bit of investigation, a little bit of recognizing what's going on, and an investigation portion. And maybe the last third of it was going to be some meta. So, what am I going to put out there? What am I taking with me for the day? So my question for you is, as I've been going through my practice over the last couple years and it begins to evolve and deepen, each day as I go to start my day, there's sometimes where I'll just sit there and I just get to that place, that awareness. My question for you is a good practice one where you have this, you get to that place? What I'm trying to begin to understand is getting to a place of spaciousness and then getting to a place where I investigate. How do I incorporate that investigative portion of the practice into my daily practice? Because sometimes I say to myself, should I just start the day for the 40 minutes and just get to that nice place? So I just get sometimes stuck with, as I begin to understand the nature of mind, where to kind of throw that in.
Does anybody have any questions about Tony's question?
I've never articulated it before.
No. It's a good question, but it's a question for someone who's been, meditating, coming here for a while, and taking various teachings and learning their different levels of meditation. So, are there any questions about Tony's question before I respond to Tony's question? I mean, anybody not kind of clear what he's talking about? Okay. All right. Or you're just too shy to admit it? I don't know. Yeah. So, what is the purpose of meditation? See, what is the purpose of your meditation? I think this is a very important question. When one reads a lot of the traditional literature, right, about meditation, the literature is a lot written by who? Who writes a lot of for thousands of years about the meditation manuals, the experience? What kind of people are they? Well, enlightened beings or just yogis. I mean, meditators. I mean, people who are monks and nuns and, people who are at it full time, right? So we have to understand that they have a certain kind of life, and therefore their meditations and their practices are developed in the context of their life. Our life is very different here, isn't it? We have what? We have full-time jobs. We have families. We have relationships. We have, there's a lot going on, right? So I think the important thing is, again, why am I meditating? Right? There's some people who may be here because, I hear this mindfulness stuff is good to calm me down a little bit. Calm down my mind a little bit, stabilize my mind a little bit. It's all over the place, right? So there's certain kind of practices which are really related to mindfulness, coming into the body, being present in the present moment, that are very helpful to give that kind of stability, that kind of calming. I mean, many people are just restless and jumpy and lots of stimulation, and it's, distracted. Anybody know that mind? Very common mind. So, having a practice that kind of takes the energy of the mind and kind of brings it more together and gets it more focused, so like the practice that I taught this morning. It's a very basic practice, right? Did everybody find it very easy? No. Because of the nature of our very scattered minds. So, mindfulness and concentration are stabilizing practices. So that's kind of the foundation. It's like this building, right? We're up here, on the second floor. Right? The only reason we're not, rocking back and forth is because we have a stable foundation, right? We can walk around here feeling safe because we know the foundation is strong. So for our spiritual life, our meditation life, our transformative life, whatever you want to call it, we need a foundation. And many people who practice a spiritual life don't have a strong foundation. So their spiritual life never really goes anywhere because it gets shaky or it begins to fall apart at a certain level. They don't take the time to build a foundation. So I think it's important that we build a foundation. So that's mindfulness. That's sort of like where you begin. Then we might wonder, well, why is my mind agitated all the time? No. And why do I have so much emotionality running through me? Right? Why do I have so much drama? Everybody know what drama is? Drama? Why do we have so much drama, so much issues, so many, problems in life? So that takes a deeper looking. See, meditation, the way I described it, that is based on mindfulness and concentration, can produce temporarily a good mind state, like you're talking about. Right? And again, moving from a more concentrated practice to a more open, spacious, relaxed practice where the mind just is allows itself just to be aware, it's kind of good, right? To kind of understand the nature, the real nature of mind, and to feel the natural calmness and clarity of the mind is good. But, are you a full-time yogi?
No.
Or do you kind of stay in the house in your meditation posture all day and people cook your food for you? And
No.
no, okay. You go out and about the world. And for many people who have the kind of meditation practice you talk about, unfortunately it doesn't translate to the world. So we're stuck in this kind of paradigm where we kind of, in our meditations, we can be calm and open and at ease and generate loving kindness for the whole world and everyone. And how's it feel? Great. And then we go out into life. And it's what? Same old, same old. So, this is good because it gives us a ground, it gives us stability. But we need to, as you say, generate practices that help us navigate the world with ease, with openness, with intelligence, with wisdom, with all those things, right? Yeah. So we need more than just that. We need to transform our minds, not just the mind that meditates, but our minds. Like Tony, I always love to use Tony because Tony's a strong guy, right? Are you only strong in the gym?
Yeah, for the most part.
No, that's the wrong... Tony, that's not the answer I was setting you up for. Let's try that again. Tony, right? Hold on, Tony. If you're building strength in the gym and I needed somebody to help move stuff, who would I call?
Well, yeah, I can do that.
All right. You can do it because you're strong. I'm not talking about you're Superman, you know what I mean? But the strength you're building in your body is not just only in the gym. It's a strength that's your body and that you can take with you and you can use, right, throughout the day in various ways. It's always available to you. Okay. We want a mind, that's the way we want our mind to be, right? That the qualities of mind that we're generating on the cushion, right, that calmness, that ease, that openness, right, we can take into life. And so our meditation needs to support that. If our meditation is just a universe unto itself, but doesn't transmit into our daily life, it's certainly beneficial. But it's not really what we need. Because again, we are what? We are lay people. We are fully engaged in the mess of life. Everybody know what I'm talking about? The mess of life? Everybody have their own mess? Right. Everybody know that pretty much everybody else they know has their own mess? Some have big messes, some have moderate-sized messes, some people have small messes. But life's messy because it's always changing and there are always variables of endless kinds. that are affecting us, right? So we need a spiritual practice, Dharma practice, meditation practice that can respond to life. Is that true? So that's called engaged, like we call our practice engaged Buddhism. So this is not a Buddhism which is just about formal study and practice, right? Looks good over here, but a practice that's fully engaged in the world, right? So we can show up in the world strong. Strong in what way? Strong in our minds. Strong mind. Okay? Healthy mind. When we have a strong body, a healthy body, energetic body, yeah, we can, it feels good, doesn't it? And we can navigate the physical realities of our world with greater ease. But if we have a sick body, if we have a diseased body, if we have a weak body, it makes it much more difficult. So should we talk about a healthy body? Healthy mind? Oh, well, hold on. Are there any more questions? Did I answer your question, Tony?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Yeah. So actually, what I wanted to talk with you about today, and actually when I was here last week, I talked about the, which is a little bit, I don't know if you were here last week or listened to the talk, but what I talked about last week, you know, one of the basic of the teachings of Buddhism, the Buddha is the Four Noble Truths. Does that ring a bell with anybody? Kind of basic Buddhism, Four Noble Truths. First Noble Truth is there's suffering. Second Noble Truth, there's a cause of suffering. Third Noble Truth, there's an end of suffering. And fourth Noble Truth is there's a path to get there. Okay? So that's kind of fundamental. So what I talked about last week is that these are not just syllogisms, these are not just ideas or concepts, but they're meant to be practiced, and I talked about the second noble truth. And again, what I mentioned last week was the word suffering, dukkha. You know, suffering in English is a translation of a word that's much more subtle. Suffering, because when you hear the word suffering, you think what? What? Physical. Yeah, physical suffering, you know, strong emotional suffering, right? But really, in Buddhism, suffering means it can get all that stuff, but it really means a life that's not working. The Buddha said the etymology of dukkha is a wheel that doesn't run true on its axle. Everybody know what that is? You know, it's moving. You know, your bike is moving, but it's a little wobbly, or you know, the tires are grinding, right, against the axle. There's always friction. Always ill at ease. There's always dissatisfaction. Things are just unsatisfactory. It's a very subtle underneath that we're never at ease. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? It's like an existential kind of angst. Just right. And then, of course, it manifests in all kinds of more obvious ways, which are all part of this. So, the Buddha described this situation, which if it's just described, it can feel kind of hopeless. But, you know, that's just the human condition. But he said, no, that's not the human condition. There's a cause why people experience life that way. And that's what we talked about last week. I won't go into it, but it sort of ties into what you were saying, which is it's good to, you know, have a mindful practice. It's good to experience the nature of the spacious mind, but that won't liberate you. What will free us is really understanding the nature of our suffering, not just ours, but of all human suffering, what's causing it, and to understand that if the causes are removed, It's very logical. If the cause of my suffering is removed, if the causes of human suffering are removed, then naturally there will be what? A life, a person, a world free of suffering. Right? So that's very powerful. Very powerful message. It's a very hopeful message. It says whatever I'm experiencing, whatever suffering I'm experiencing, whatever suffering the world is experiencing, much of it can be alleviated because much of it is self-created. There's certain sufferings that are just part of life, such as sickness, old age, and death. That's just life. Hurricanes, right? Yeah, changes in the weather. Some things are just part of it, but a lot of our suffering can be freed, and that's what a spiritual path is really about. Right? And you've heard me say many times, when you go into the life of the Buddha, he went to most of the major teachers in his area at the time, and they were all teaching concentration and samadhi, that deep state. And he mastered all those traditions, but he said the problem was when you come out of those states, it's same old, same old. When you're in those states, it's wonderful. When you're out of those states, same old, same old. So he was always looking at a deeper level for for what could really be transformative. And he said it's only insight, understanding the nature of things, that will liberate us. So he enunciated a path. There are many parts of the path. But what I want to talk about today was something called right effort, which is one of the paramitas, right effort, which implies that, let me just say, I think right effort is a key practice for us because it delineates what our daily life practice should be about. All of us. Whatever spiritual, non-spiritual, religious, non-religious path you practice in this life, an effort, if we're serious about transformation, changing, has to be made. Right? Because our actions right now of our body, of our speech, and of our mind, which is most important, are all conditioned by the past. Okay? Right now, each of us is the summation of all our experiences from the past manifesting. We may feel very unique about the way we speak, the way we think, but we're just creatures of the past, of our conditioning. Right? Positive and negative. Now, when we are told, you can be free of much of that. You can live a life of goodness, of ease, of openness. We might say, what? Sounds good. We don't have to keep doing things the way we've always done them. Now, to keep doing the things we've always done them takes no effort. Right? You just get up in the morning, and there he or she is. You know what I'm talking about? With her usual mind and his usual way of doing things, and and if you let him or her be free, they'll just do it the way they've always done it, right? Anybody notice that? Right. It's not that's we're bad or good, just because that's the way our minds are conditioned, and that's our default, right? Everybody know about default? That's our programming. And most of it is unconscious. We've been programmed by Our families, our societies, our cultures, our other people, our experiences, right? All of that together has conditioned us to be the way we are. And we step back and we look at that and we go, some good things, but there really are some things that I'd like to change, right? That's probably why you're here. There are some things we want to change, yeah. Now, how do you go about that process of changing in a way that works? And so, one of the things that we're talking about with right effort is there has to be effort to, again, maintain doing the way we've always done takes no effort. You don't have to be diligent. You don't have to get up in the morning and go, I want to be exactly the same I was yesterday, and I got to work really hard at it. No, just let him or her go. They'll just be that way, right? Because it seems natural. But it's not natural. It's the way we've been conditioned. Is that clear? So, if we want to change, there has to be an effort, right? And so the Buddha talks about right effort. But here he doesn't just mean, just be energetic. He's talking about 4 kinds of effort. The effort when wholesome qualities arise in us, to maintain them. The effort when wholesome qualities have not arisen in us, to bring them up, nurture them. The effort when unwholesome qualities have arisen in us, to kind of work them speedily so they don't stay around. And the 4th one is the effort not to cultivate the unwholesome. So this is really, if you think about the transformative activity of our daily life, that's what we're up to. Right? It's kind of simple that way, right? Right? Is there any questions about that? I mean, I left out a big piece, but generally that's it. I start where I am. I know the qualities that I want to cultivate. Whenever they arise by themselves, I'm very conscious that they've arisen and I do my best to nurture them. But I'm also working diligently to bring them up. And we'll talk about what these could be. At the same time, I know those qualities, actions of body, speech, and mind that are unwholesome, that are negative, that are non-productive, that aren't really in alignment with how I want to show up in the world anymore. And when they show up, which they will show up, why will they show up? Because we've always been nurturing them. I mean, don't be shocked that all your stuff keeps showing up. Right? It's our stuff. Right? It'll show up. But if we're mindful, right? If we're aware, when it shows up, we'll know it's showing up. And we'll go, I don't want to be cultivating this. Or, I don't want to bring this one up. If we have enough of mindfulness, we can even see in advance. I don't want to cultivate jealousy or envy or anger or fear. I don't want to cultivate those things. Not wholesome. Not in accord with how I want to be in this world. So we have these 4 types of effort. And then the question becomes, I think for each of us, do I know, am I clear for me what is wholesome and what is not wholesome? What activities of body, speech, and mind are nurturing and wholesome for the way I want to be in the world? And which ones are the opposite? So we have to have that clear criteria, or we won't know what to make an effort for. Is that clear? So again, this is often where we fall down in our desire over many years to change. We know it, that it's what we want to be, but we don't make this conscious effort of knowing how to go about the change process. What the four efforts do is give us the tools to do that, but we need criteria. Now, we might say that if we cultivate that which is wholesome, that which is positive, that which is in alignment with our aspirations, it will bring me happiness, right? And if I stop doing all that other stuff, that'll support my happiness. But the important thing is that the goal is longer term than short term. So if our understanding of what's good for me is based on pleasure, what's pleasant, and do we like things to be pleasant? Yes, we do. Thank you. We like things to be pleasant. So if our criteria for what's good for me is what's pleasant, we're doomed. For example, getting high, getting drunk, for many people, is it pleasant in the moment? You can nod your heads. It's pleasant. But in the long term, in terms of what you're trying to build in your life, it may not be really supportive of your long-term happiness. Is that clear? And there may be some things, such as saying no to yourself. And do we like to say no to ourselves when there are things it really wants to do that it likes doing? Yeah, that could not make the self happy. And yet we know, based on our long-term aspiration, that I need to stop doing this stuff. It's not good for me. It's not good for my aspiration. It's not good for how I want to show up in the world. So it's very important that we understand that this aspiration we have for showing how we want to show up in the world is not just about the immediacy of life, right? That we need a longer-term sense of our transformation. So, in the Buddhist tradition, there are a whole range listed of wholesome mind states. There's a whole list of unwholesome mind states. Mindfulness, concentration, insight are considered wholesome practices, because in the long term they will help transform us. Cultivating loving kindness, cultivating compassion, cultivating equanimity, cultivating generosity, cultivating patience, cultivating understanding, cultivating acceptance. These are all wholesome qualities that we want to cultivate, because they lead to equanimity. They lead to a mind that's equanimous with life. And it's got a whole list of negative ones. Anybody guess what negative ones are on it? Yeah, greed, anger, fear, jealousy, pride, resentment. What? Greed, that's good. What else? Dissatisfaction, the mind of dissatisfaction, the mind of envy. Yeah. Anything else? What? Cravings, endless cravings, desires, disappointments, hurts, all those kinds of things, resentments, right? Despair, hopelessness, right? There's a whole set of afflictive, in Buddhism they call afflictive mind states, because they're like an affliction, like a disease, like, to be afflicted is something that causes us to what? To have an unhealthy mind. So, well, let's talk about this. So, how do you like the temperature in here? It's good? Okay. Nobody has affliction? No, that's good. Yeah, so think about your mind states. Think about the mind states that you go through during the day and the mind states that you unconsciously are cultivating in body, speech, and mind. And again, the mind, the actions of our body, the actions of our speech is what is seen, right? But actually, mind is king. Mind is the ruler. So the mind only we can see. It may manifest in the way we speak. It may manifest in the actions of our body, but the mind only we see. And actually, the basis of our actions, the basis of our speech, is in our mind. And yet, many of us allow, even if we're more careful in our actions or what we say or what we do in the world, we're careful. In our mind, we often just we just cultivate afflictive emotions, anger, irritation, frustration, anxiety, worry, fear, right? Sadness, disappointment, despair, jealousy, envy. In our mind, the privacy of our own mind, these are often the kind of mind states that we're energizing. And yet, these are when we talk about our minds are not a thing. It's sort of like what Tony talked about. Our minds are just basic awareness. Our minds are just like a mirror that are just reflecting. Now, what are they reflecting? And what they're reflecting is this amalgam of our thoughts, our feelings, our perceptions, that's our mind. Now, fortunately, our mind is not a solid, permanent thing. It is just made up of all these mind states. Well, that's good news. Because why? I just got to start cultivating healthier mind states, stop cultivating unhealthy mind states, and my mind will change. It has to. Right? Because if you think about whatever mind states dominate you during your day, were they there at birth? Ask yourself. It's a serious question. Were they there at birth? No. How about at 3 months old? Were they there at 3 months old? We don't remember, but take a look the next time you see a 3-month-old, and you'll take a look at them. They don't have a lot going on that way, do they? 6 months, year. If you look at that, whether yourself, other people, you'll see, no. This way, this mind that seems so me, these thoughts, these reactions, right? This way of being in the world have all been developed over years, right? Oh, well then that's simple. Once I see they're unwholesome or they're unwanted, I just stop developing them and develop new ones. Which ones? The ones I consciously choose to develop. So really, to enter any kind of transformative path means to be conscious. No longer asleep at the wheel of our life. When we're asleep, all we do is what? We respond to conditions. We actually don't respond, we just react. Monkey see, monkey do. But to be a conscious human being is, I'm aware. I know wholesome from unwholesome, right? I know my conditioning, but I also know how I want to be. I can see clearly. That's becoming a conscious human being. I'm no longer asleep at the wheel of my life. For many of us, we've just been asleep for years and decades, just running the program. And we think the program is my program, but no, we've been programmed. No, not like, this is not a conspiracy theory. It's not like, it's just we've been programmed by all the conditions around us, unconsciously, right? It's sort of like, giving a kid, a Lego set where there are only 25 Legos. The capacity is limited for what they can build. You give them a set of, 10,000 pieces. Wow, right? A lot of possibilities there. Most of us have built our life, have built our inner life with only a few pieces. We don't realize that. What are those pieces? The pieces that happen to be around us. The pieces that we were given. Right? To become a conscious human being is to go, oh, yeah, lots of pieces. I can put this whole thing together different ways. Why? Because it's not fixed. If it was fixed, we would have been born with it. And we would have never changed. Has anybody here ever changed in their life? When you look back over the last 20, 30, 40, depending how old you are, 50, 60s, have you changed? Have things changed? Have your ideas changed? Have the way you look at things changed? Has the way your heart has changed? Right? Has anything changed? And you'd have to say what? Yes. Well, once you understand that, you understand my mind has a great capacity for change, but a lot of my change has just been reactive. Things get, bad enough, and what happens? I'm going to change. Right? So a lot of our changing is in reactivity, too. But we're talking about changing consciously based on understanding, wow, there is another way to live. There is another way to react. There is another way to speak. There is another way to be in this heart of mine. There's another way to relate to human beings and society than I've been doing up to now. It's a open field. Okay, why don't you, let's just close it, let's just stop. Close your eyes. Now, often when we reflect, we close our eyes. So this is not meditation, this is reflection. Just reflect on what's been shared with you. Reflect on, your conditioning. The way life has conditioned me to think a certain way. See myself in a certain way. See life in a certain way. Can you begin to see your own conditioning? The limited amount of parts and experience in which you've fabricated your life, sense of who you are, sense of possibilities. And we hear it in, well, this is the way I am, or, this is the way my mind is, or, this is how my heart is, and when we say that, we mean, this is the way it's been conditioned. We had very strong conditioning from our families in origin. You know, we grew up in their world. And many of the way we are was conditioned by them. Or even if we reacted against them, rebelled against them, we rebelled against them. Which just means my rebellion was even conditioned by what I was rebelling against. So again, we're not taking this into the worldly realm of jobs, careers, relationships. We're not opening it up that way. This is more the interior. What it's like to be me and the way I see the world and how I react. And the limits I may have on my understanding. I can understand this, but I can't understand those. I can like those, but I don't like those. I can understand them, but I can't understand them. I can be compassionate for them, but I can't be compassionate for these. Can't open up my heart too much, can't be too loving, can't be too open. Can't be too generous. My heart can't be too generous. Yeah, I'm just an impatient person. Yeah, I'm just a kind of irritable person. We talk this way. Yeah, I have low frustration tolerance. You know, we talk about these things as if they're really true, as opposed to how we've been conditioned. Yeah, I'm a very private person. I'm a shy person. Where do we learn all this stuff? All of it we've learned in relationship to others. We don't realize the full extent of our conditioning in life, consciously and unconsciously. In Buddhism, the nature of our mind is open, spacious, aware. That's the ground of mind. Now, what's been planted on that ground is what we're talking about. Like the earth. You can plant anything on the earth, and it'll nurture it. You can plant flowers, or you can plant weeds. You could plant healthy herbs, or you can plant poisonous herbs. The earth will grow them all. So another way to look at right effort is to say to yourself, I have a mind. What am I growing in it? What am I nurturing? As you look at your mind, meaning your mind, the internal mind that you live with, that you interact with from morning till night. What am I cultivating? What sort of mind states am I cultivating all day? What's the quality? What's the content of my inner dialogue between me and me? What is that supporting? What is that nurturing? And when we begin to see things in this way, we begin to get a sense of what's going on. We're now looking at causation. What's causing my mind to be the way it is? What's causing my emotional life to be the way it is? This is the deeper use of mindfulness, concentration. We want to see what the cause of the problem is, so we can free ourselves. So just take a moment to reflect. This is in the privacy of your own mind. I mean, if we can't know ourselves as we really are, we need to know ourselves. Honestly, openly, and without sort of critical judgment. It's just a matter of understanding my conditioning. Conditioning is, in a certain way, not good or bad. It just is what it is. It's only our conscious mind now that can look at all that with criteria and go, these types of mind states, patterns of speech, physical activities, that's nurturing how I want to be in life. These other ones, no. They're take me off the path that I want to walk, or they sabotage me. Do I know myself? Really, the purpose of meditation is to know who and what we are. At its deepest level is to know the deepest truth about who and what we are. Which in Buddhism is, we are Buddhas. We all have this awakened nature, pure, undefiled. And yet, it's often covered. It doesn't manifest because of the conditioned way we've been living. That's why, again, coming back to right effort. So we're clear of the efforts we need to make. Then our spiritual life has some fire to it. Has some real purpose to it. Has some energy behind it. So I'm just trying to initiate a process. It's not like we're all going to see perfectly. So let's open our eyes. What's come up? Questions? What are we learning here today? Anything? Any questions? Online? Just chat them in. What to do? How to do it? Everything clear? Change is easy. Transformation, piece of cake. Who's going to speak first? You've all been reflecting. You're all kind of mining your wisdom. Yes. Okay, hold on. Tammy over here.
Thank you. I will speak first. I think it's a great topic. There's some things that I have been already thinking about. Why do I do it that way? But not deeply enough to actually come up with the answer of why do I do it that way. And so I think this is a great talk because the reflection, just sitting here for these few minutes, gave me some insight as to why am I doing it that way. And I understand that what I'm doing, it's the right thing to do, but the way I'm doing it is not the right way to do it. Or there's a better way. I don't know if it's perfectly right and wrong, but so thank you. I think it's important to.
Yeah, so thank you, Tammy. I mean, that's such an important part of a spiritual path that we overlook. And if you've been around here, you hear me going on and on about this all the time, but we go right from learning something, all right, I'm going to practice it. But the Buddha said there's a whole middle piece, which is reflection. He said, reflect on these teachings, like you're doing. You're saying, oh, yeah, I'm kind of doing I think I'm doing right, but I haven't reflected deeply enough on really what's going on with me that I know what, what needs to really at a deeper level be changed. And again, a lot of it is in the mind. So you say outwardly looks good, but inwardly, it's maybe coming about it from less than wholesome reasons. This is one of the gifts. Many people go, oh, God, if I could just get rid of this thinking mind, my life would be so wonderful, but just shut him or her up, But actually, our thinking mind is a great gift, We just don't use it, right? Like I know Tammy, you work, you use your thinking, logical, analytical mind all day, right? In the outward world. But we've never learned, I can use the same process to observe and reflect on myself. That's having an interior life, which nobody teaches us. Because in our world, it's all about what? Doing. And as long as we're doing and it looks good and we're productive, it's like, but the interior life and turning your intelligence and, on your own mind and your own causes is a good use of our mind. Who else? Questions, comments? You've all been reflecting. Don't be shy. Yes.
I just want to say thank you first because this has been a good talk. I don't know if it's necessarily a question, but just maybe someone else can relate to it.
Okay.
The reflection process, I think, has been a very big part of my life. I find myself in constant reflection, and to the point where it's so much that instead of focusing my energy on, and I try to practice, but to focus my energy on practicing, it's, I guess another thing I reflected on was too much reflection.
Yes.
As all that energy is focused on seeing people close to me and around me and seeing how I feel they need to show up the same way. I'm reflecting on their behalf. And so that's something that I found about myself. But it's good for me to realize to flip the switch and then use that to practice more and to focus it. Because the only thing I can do is, focus it on myself.
Yes.
So I don't know if
No,
anyone
that's
relates.
right. Yeah. So we talk about overthinking.
Yes.
A lot of times people go, yeah, I'm just overthinking this. Or you tell somebody else, you're just overthinking this. It's a lot simpler. And it sounds like you're over-reflecting.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So we want to reflect in the service of transformation and healing. Right. We want to reflect enough so we understand the causes of our actions. That's all we need it for. But we have a way, these out of control minds of ours, they just keep repeating, and then like you're not only satisfying just on your own causes and conditions, you're just like open to everybody else. Unfortunately, nobody listens to you. I hate to tell you that. They don't listen to us, right? So, main thing is use those tools to change yourself. If somebody asks you for feedback, hey, can you give me a little feedback on my life? I can't see myself clearly, Yeah, then you can use those skills. But if there's nobody asking, why waste your good energy? Yeah, so, reflection. Yeah, but the Buddha's way is the middle way, right? It doesn't go to any extreme. It's not like no reflection or like over-reflection. Just enough reflection for what? So I understand what's going on and I can change. Right? So we don't want to get stuck in reflection. We don't want to get stuck in rumination. Repetition. Right? How many people have had insights into themselves when they think about it? Yeah, I've known this about myself for years. Right? I know this is not good for me. I've known that for years. Anybody want to own that one? So there it is. Right? So better to have just a few key ones and do it. That's right effort. See, that's the power of right effort. It says, you have to make an effort if you want to change. Just having insight without effort, it's like, I don't think it doesn't happen. But when I was when I was a therapist and all that, there was a whole school of therapy. I'd meet people who've been in therapy for 20 years. It's like part of their life. And you know what? They have great insight. A lot of people go to therapy. You know what? They have great insight into themselves. They know all their neuroses. They know all their problems. They know their childhood back and forth. They know their traumas. They know it all. But still what? Still miserable. Thank you. I didn't want to say that, but or they still just suffer from the same stuff. It's like, so insight without application, it's not helpful. We sound great, but if we're not applying it, it's not useful. So insight with application, it's like if I know what the problem is, well then change it, right? Before you go on to more insights. Right? Other people? Yes. Gentleman on the right side? Oh, and then there are two people up there. Okay. While you're walking here, Brett, can you share one from upstairs?
Yeah, so the first is a comment from Shobha that these talks are very valuable to look directly at ourselves and change where change is needed, and thank you. And Susan asks, how can I change an unwholesome mindset once I identify it? I can't figure out how.
Well, again, if you think about this tautology of the four, you've now identified a mind state, a behavior, a pattern of speech, so you go, this is not wholesome, right? It's unskillful. It causes suffering to me or somebody else, okay? So that's a good identification. Therefore, if you can, in advance, not cultivate those mind states, very conscious. Yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. Anybody ever change any behavior just because you could say one day, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore, right? Yeah, sometimes that works. Yeah, sometimes you just go, yeah, I'm done with that one. Yeah, or I'm not going to, I'm going to learn to keep my mouth shut, right? Because I know where it leads. Does everybody know that one? Okay, that's the first one. Okay, I'm going to be more conscious. When I can feel that energy, I'm just not going to cultivate it. Okay. The second part of that is when I haven't caught it and it just comes up. A lot of times it just comes up. When I see that that's what I'm doing, I'll do my best not to indulge it. Right? I'll do my best to just move it out. Right? I'm over-reflecting, you see? Yeah, you just stop, To have the talk we had today where you see your reflection and you really make a commitment just to not do it is number one. Number two is, which is also very important, is, a lot of our conditioning just comes up. So now I see it. You may see it early on. You may see it, 30 minutes into it. As soon as you see it, you can stop. Right? Okay? This is not helpful. A lot of times, like let's say you're into, I don't know, you're angry at somebody, you're resentful for somebody. And what do you notice? How often do you repeat the story? Right? Over and over again. I can't believe she said this. Over and over, right? You see it. And you can say to yourself, by constantly repeating this, what am I cultivating? Ask yourself, like what am I see, this is being conscious, like what am I doing right now? Worries. Worry. It's like, all right, you get it. How many times do you need to worry? So this is a way of dialoguing with yourself that's helpful. Right? Like, where is this taking me? Or, I know this road. I know where this one leads. Right? Bringing up that old story. People repeat stories from 20, 30 years ago. Can you believe it? It's like, it happened. Right? And you understand it was what it was, but yeah. So but the other side of that is cultivating the wholesome. So if you're not going to be angry at somebody, and it's good to work the stopping the unwholesome or changing the unwholesome, but what's wholesome? What is developing you? So you're angry at somebody. Can't believe they said this or did this. What's another way of looking at just what happened? It's not who said that? Yeah, it's not personal. They're just like me. They have their causes and conditions. Right? They're just caught up in their own causes and conditions. It's not personal. Yeah, I'm just reflecting in their mind. Right? Or what's another way you could look at what's going on?
Try to see their perspective.
Yeah. I wonder what that conversation looks like from their side. I wonder how they see me. We never do that one, do we? We never just go, I wonder what I look like to them or way, right? How about compassion? Maybe they're suffering. Maybe they're suffering. That's why they did what they did or doing what they do. They're suffering. They're in pain. You see, you're cultivating wholesome in the same situation. So can you see the interplay of not cultivating the unwholesome, cultivating the wholesome? Yeah. And there was a second question, Brett? Or was that, no, those were the two?
Yeah, there was one more. Carol asked, how do we apply criteria colored by self-compassion rather than critical, judgmental mind?
Well, the critical, judgmental mind says it's personal. But when you understand that each of us is just a product of our causes and conditions, like everything else, it's not personal, right? What we're talking about is learning to make an objective assessment of our actions, of our speech, of our mind state, right? Just like we would for anybody else. It's just objective. And the objectivity is in wanting to transform. It's not personal. There's nothing wrong with you. There never was anything wrong with us. If there was something wrong with us, we would have come out of the womb wrong. Does anybody believe they came out of the womb wrong? We laugh, it's silly. I mean, look at your baby pictures, if you want proof. Look at your baby pictures. What do you think you're going to look like? There you are. Everything we've become is because of causes and conditions. It's not personal. To objectively assess oneself and go, yeah, that was unskillful. Wow, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. That wasn't good. That wasn't good for me. You know, there I go again. Right? Indulging, you know, short-term pleasure, you know, which just takes me away from what I really want to do in life. Right? That's an assessment that can be helpful. It's not personal. You don't go, you know, like, what's wrong with me? Oh, you know, that's another defilement. You know? Self-hate, you know, that's an unwholesome mindset. How do you feel when you're self-critical? Feel wonderful? No. I mean, can you see it's another defilement? But objective assessment is, oh, yeah, that's helpful. It's like, thank you, Fred. This is Fred talking to Fred. Like, thank you, Fred, for calling me on it. Right? So we got to learn just to call ourselves on our stuff. We don't have to beat ourselves. We don't have to, you know, just like, come on, Fred, you know better. Right? Be open, be compassionate, be understanding, right? Be patient. So that's an inner conversation that's wholesome. A lot of our inner conversation is not wholesome. Okay, so we're right there at 11:30, 11:28. Thank you, everyone.